My senior year of college was nothing like I'd expected. I felt frustrated, irritated, and resentful. Why couldn't I have just graduated 2 years earlier, been 2 years older? Why couldn't I have just graduated last year? I compare myself with the class of 2020, thinking at least they got 3.5 years of real college before the pandemic happened. Why couldn't that have been me? Why? Even though this year was nothing like freshman year Maddie thought it would be, there are some things that would have been so different about this year if it wasn't for the pandemic. Before the pandemic, it was definitely extremely rare to get my housemates and I to spend time together, let alone cook a whole multi-dish meal together. But this is something we started doing almost every week in the past year, cooking dinner on Friday nights or getting takeout together. We've done everything from Korean night, cooking a full-on meal, Korean barbecue, hot pot night, Ethiopian food, gumbo and southern food, baked pretzels and cookies, just so many fun things, spending time together, eating good food.
Some days I think I'm a little bit too old for this, like a grown man in children's clothes. Long sleeve shirt with the sleeve way above my wrist and my gut hanging out below. I was a painter, a saint, and an activist from the comfort of my duvet. You know what a feeling to feel even half of it and fall to another place. Summer, and as I'm passing, the way to crashing dissipates into a foregone glue. And in the ashes, we can imagine the pretty passions of what we gon' do. I have two seconds in official conversation, repetition, left to right, automation, kicking by a condo.
Something else we started doing was spending more time outside. It was such a great excuse to just leave the house and get some fresh air. Also, it was a great way to spend time with friends, being masked, distanced, and outdoors. The first thing that I realized when all of this happened and school shut down was that this pandemic really sped up time for me. It forced everyone into isolation. It really makes you realize who your real friends are. Those are the people that you make effort for and the ones that make effort to see you. Virtually, distanced, or outdoors, you make it work. Something that was super special for me was seeing my GBO friends, stands for Golden Bear Orientation, one last time before graduation. 2 out of the 6 of us actually graduated a year early, but it really felt like I was coming full circle. I, along with everyone else's friends, were also just very surprised that we'd even kept in touch after all these years. It was just so interesting hearing about where everyone was headed after graduation and just seeing how everyone's paths are diverging even though we started in the same place and they're on to the next big thing. Okay, this has been something that's been on my list for such a long time. Before I even came to college and I was living with my family in the Bay Area, I've already wanted to make this trip, which is biking the SF bridges. It just seems so fun, so scenic and active, and you get this amazing view of being right next to the water. So, during the last week of school's finals week, I hit my favorite biking friend and we made plans to bike the Bay Bridge. In about 10 minutes. We're meeting kind of at a midpoint. I hope it won't be too cold. All right, let's go. That's the end. Finally. This bike ride was actually quite a trek. It's a 16-mile round trip from about both of our apartments, and we were actually kind of tricked into thinking it would be a really chill ride, which is why we went during finals week. Because from Berkeley to the Emeryville trailhead, which is where we started before getting onto the bridge, it was pretty flat and it was a really paved road. But as soon as we got onto the bridge, it was just a 2-mile slight incline the entire time. And it was definitely pretty tough and pretty tiring and really hard on those quads. What a champ. Here, and then we did this, and now we're there. We ended the ride with some amazing views of the entire bridge and some good Mexican food. I'm about to take my one and only final exam. Last one yet. Honestly, this was such an anticlimactic way to end college and the semester. I was sitting in my room for 3 hours writing and writing and writing, and then after I was finally done, I compiled all my papers, took some photos, and uploaded it onto our grading platforms, and finally took a breath knowing that I can now finally take a break.
It goes without saying, but you're my best friend, my second earth. Kisses like a song you so want.
Alright.
Ooh, final number 1 down.
January had a summer.
It took me 4 years to come out to the Berkeley Marina and realize what I've really known all along, which is that I really love water activities. I realized that throughout college, I'd focused so much on doing activities that are good for academics or for my future career. And while those are good activities and opportunities, I also deserve to have some fun as well, and spend quality time on activities where the only benefit is increasing my happiness.
Hello! We're paddleboarding, but it's pretty windy today, so chances of standing up are slightly lower. Yeah. How do you feel first time paddleboarding? I'm having a good time. I was pretty sure I was gonna fall in the water, but so far so good. So far so good. Alright. Made it back in one piece.
As I'm moving on to the next phase of life, it's also time to look for new apartments. I went with my current roommate to check out some apartments in SF and just to learn more about the housing market and check out different SF neighborhoods.
I got a whole lot of affection, got it, and I got a question. How you defy all logic? Are you alien, angel, gods?
I feel both incredibly excited but also extremely nervous about this next phase of life. It's the adulting that college has trained us for, but it's also the loss of the safety net that college gives us for when we mess up. Honestly, I'm not really sure why I was so shocked about these facts, but this trip taught me two very crucial things about SF apartments. The first thing is that they are very expensive for the amount of space that you might want and you'll get. And number two, I really prefer not to live on the first floor for somewhat obvious but maybe not so obvious safety reasons. And while maybe those things sound very normal to you about SF, well, your girl is a fresh new grad and she's got so much more to learn.
I don't need to think about it. There's nothing in this world that we can't do. Flowers even mad about it, 'cause they can't bloom like you
Sometimes
don't.
it can feel like the days are just going by and nothing is going on. You're stuck at home, taking Zoom classes, office hours, study sessions, project meetings, and time feels stagnant. It's only after I've been parsing through my photo albums that I've realized that no, time hasn't stopped, and no, I haven't been doing absolutely nothing. But in fact, there's a lot that's happened this past year. Perhaps slower than expected, and maybe not as wild as I would have imagined. But that shouldn't discount the people I've seen, conversations I've had, and memories that were still made in this past year.
Baby, I'm outside, thinking about you all night. Been thinking it ain't right if you and me only see us in our dreams. I'm outside, I'll drive, you pick the station. Sunrise, no destination, no lie. I've been so patient, like winter waiting for June. I'm done and waiting for you, waiting for you. Baby, I'm outside, been thinking about you all night. Been thinking it ain't right if you and me only see us in our dreams. I'm outside, been thinking about you all night. Been thinking it ain't right if you and me only see us in our dreams. I'm outside.
This might not have been the senior year of college that I envisioned coming into college, the senior year that all the upperclassmen have raved about since I was an underclassman, but it was still my senior year. I still had fun, I still hung out with my friends, I still traveled safely a little bit, maybe more locally than I would have imagined, and I still ate really wonderful food. I still made great memories with great people, and I still had a good time. I feel a lot less frustrated now. I've been working on adjusting my mindset. I feel grateful for the health of my family and friends. I appreciate the moments that have defined my senior year, and I look forward to telling those stories in the future.